I don't know. Like, I mean, do you think I gave too much? Like, if she doesn't wake up in 20 minutes, I guess we could call the police. We could call for help.
Yeah, and I mean,
the-
I suppose that since it's a weekend lockdown, they ought to be able to respond pretty quickly, right? But I mean, that's the thing.
Back in the day, that was nothing to me. I mean, she said she was down, but I don't know.
All right, so
have you started recording?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, great, man!
It's because it's the free Zoom. Yeah, hello everybody. Two Chimps Typing, and there's literally two of us chimps here. Conscious,
three,
alert, and aware.
Three if you count the.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the broad.
Yeah. So Anchor FM and YouTube world, hello everybody. Waiting on a couple more chimps to enter this free Zoom that we're having on a Friday night.
Thank God for free. Cheers.
Looks like Hefeweizen, but it's not.
It looks like something you collect from a very, very how can I say, like from a stallion. It looks like, the urine you get from a stallion.
Or it's like used frying oil. This has been frying both fish and chips.
It's like an elephant had too much vitamin C.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
Or the stallion you were talking about that they've put to stud, they've put out to pasture, and now he's a stud. He hasn't seen a woman in a while.
Exactly. Oh fuck no.
He's backed up. That's right. It does the body good, Peter. Does it?
Yeah. I hope he had some pineapple.
There's some citrus hints. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, you enjoy sushi, I see.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a pescatarian, is what it is.
I don't even know why that. Yeah, actually, it's pureed herring.
Oh,
all right. We got a chimp joining us. Excellent.
Oh, great. Which one is it?
This is the Jake chimp joining us.
Welcome to Two Chimps Typing, Jake Newberry.
Say hello
to
Say hello to the YouTube. Say hello to the YouTube.
Hey, YouTube.
Anchor FM.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, YouTube. Why don't you watch my Star Wars video reviews? Just asking. Anyway, sorry guys. Go ahead.
I was just seeing that monetizing on YouTube, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of viewer time. That means
just say something. That's a lot of shit.
That's a huge,
like 4,000 hours. I mean, that's why on my channel now I'm just putting up crap all the time, just to get the hourage up.
Yeah, so our last chimp joining us now. It seems like insurmountable when you consider that a kid eating marshmallows. Hey, George, say hello to YouTube and Anchor FM.
Sorry, I was in the bathroom.
No, that's okay. Peter was telling us about he was talking about if it's proper to exceed the dosage recommendations when administering sleep agents, and we moved past that, and we were just talking about the insurmountable hurdle of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watched YouTube videos before you can monetize your videos, and that seems like a huge hurdle. And you consider one kid like can put up a video of the most random shit and they're instantly monetized, whereas these other people, we struggle to find content that we think is like valuable and important. And
I'll tell you what, the first ever YouTube video I ever saw was concrete football, and like some guy had inflated a ball with concrete in it, and he was like, "Kick the ball, kids." I don't know, it was somewhere in like Malaysia or somewhere like this. And these kids were like, taking this huge run up to kick this football, and they were like falling over it. And
They're
it's like,
barefooted.
Wasn't the first ever video on YouTube was the one with Justin Timberlake and what's her name on
Jackson.
yeah, and he accidentally
Super Bowl. Yeah, that's
ripped her bra off. Who was that? That was
Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson. Yeah, that was the first ever YouTube video apparently.
I remember.
No, that's
yeah,
not
it
the
wasn't
first.
the first one, but it was probably the first viral.
Yeah.
But like, I remember the first time I discovered YouTube. I was obsessed with, I still am, obsessed with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then I went onto this thing called YouTube back in 2004 or 2003, whenever it was. And there was like, because I'm from the ilk where if I wanted to see a live Red Hot Chili Pepper show, I would either have to wait till they came to Dublin or spend €20 on a DVD. And then I went onto YouTube and I was able to watch Woodstock 1999, 1 hour and a half free of the Chili Peppers playing at Woodstock 99. I'm like, this is nuts.
Yeah,
And
it's
now
so crazy, right? To be able to watch like free music, especially since YouTube came after the whole Napster nightmare of the late 90s. And you know, we were told like how bad we were for like downloading songs and then you know, YouTube came along and like everything under the sun was there for you to view for free on YouTube, and we never heard any complaints, you know, from people about that. Like all the music videos you could ever want to watch, like you said, concert footage, like even movies.
Concert footage still blows my mind. It still blows my mind. Even now, I'm still kind of like, holy crap, this is like Metallica. Like, you know, like because you would have to spend a few punt on like these concert DVDs to get close to it. Now you can just watch anybody. Like, it's crazy.
I mean, it's obviously not the same experience, like, but at the end of the day, like watching a video which has been maybe produced kind of well, recorded kind of well, is so much better than going to some shows where you can hear fuck all, you know, especially like I like really smaller bands that are in smaller venues, and it's so fucking loud when you're inside the venue and standing room only and hot as balls. But I can sit back and watch Fugazi or some other band from a video.
Dude, I remember I saw the Chili's in 2004, the Pixies and the Hot House Flowers were supporting them, and like I remember it was one of the best shows of my life. And then like 10-15 years later, someone recorded that show and I found it on YouTube and I lost my mind.
Oh wow,
why is everybody making me symbols?
Oh no, that's because he was trying to feed. First of all, George did the shameless thing of putting
the baby's here. I'm so sorry.
And then he mimicked feeding it a beer. You know.
Okay.
So
I didn't know the baby was here, and everyone was like going, "Ha!"
Hey guys, we're basically a year into this staying at home stuff. Can you believe a year has passed by so quickly? Next week it's going to be like a year since we've been doing distance learning instead of face-to-face instruction. It's incredible.
And how much the world has changed, not just about teaching, but like, I don't know, will we ever go back to what we had before?
It's crazy.
I was thinking the other day, because it has been a year, and I thought about it, and I was like, oh, where was I a year ago? Exactly 1 year ago, I was in an office, and I had a person on my left on a desk, and another person on my right on another desk, like all quite closed. I was in the middle of two people on a desk, and there were loads of other people in this office. Like, do you know what I mean? Like maybe about 200 people in an office, and then I remember when it happened. Then it just straight away 50% of the people left because they had the shield or whatever, and then slowly by surely, and more people left because they were getting technology to work from home. And can you imagine, like, just think about the crowdedness of places. You go on a Dolmuş in Turkey, it's like
even what we're talking about right now, live music concerts. Like, when in the name of God will we ever see that? Reading, and I know,
but like even like crowd,
moved till August.
Yeah, but how will you cope in the crowded situations that we used to have? we kind of just grin and bear it before. I remember getting on the train all the time, like cram packed, you know what I mean? Like everywhere, like sometimes people couldn't even get on the train for the morning commute. It was that bad, you know what I mean? It was really bad. And I'm thinking, I haven't been in that situation in a year. Oh,
I was just
can we get used to that again? Do you know what I mean? You can, yeah. See, I don't think I can. It'll come a bit of a shock to me.
Like this, you know.
I was
you
scrolling.
live in a sparsely populated environment, whereas here, despite the lockdown, it's still kind of crowded everywhere you go. So I take your point. I take your point 100%. But
when we were
if anything, I miss it.
When we were messaging each other on Messenger just before we got started here, I saw on my feed a video of my friend in Bogota, Colombia, and she was at some like outdoor kind of like party thing. And you know, she's like filming herself, and I'm looking at everybody behind, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, there's no masks, no social distancing. And then I realized that this was a memory of hers from like 3 years ago. And it's amazing how like the psyche, right? It's really something like.
Well, that's my point, Martin. That's my point about the psyche.
Or social distancing, I go nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you watch a TV show or a film,
yeah,
you're like, oh, that was a different era, and the film was released in 2015.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But you're like, because things have changed that much.
That's right.
Like we're watching The Office at the moment, me and EJ, and
the British.
No, the American actually. It's really good. No, I quite like the American. It's quite good.
The American one's better.
I think so. I gotta be honest. I'm British as well.
That's another podcast. Don't even fucking start with the American.
But my point is, they share in drinks. Do you know what I mean? They share in drinks and they share in food, and that office environment even is, again, it's just like on top of each other. But now, do you know what I mean? Like it is, you had a spot on there, Martin. It is the psyche. Yeah. And I don't think we've realized that yet. I think a lot of people are going to be kind of like not shell shocked, maybe that's the wrong word, but a bit shocked when they come back into the natural rhythm of things. You know,
I was watching a show. I've been watching this show. I don't know if you guys know it. It's called Line of Duty. It's like a British show, I guess produced in Northern Ireland. Super, really entertaining show. But just one moment, this guy is being emphatic with his point, and he gets right up into the face of the person and repeats what he's saying. And I'm like, fuck, man, social distance, bro. Because that's the thing. Like, I will never, at least for a while, I will never be able to kind of make peace with that kind. It is really something that has really changed my thinking. You know, we used to think the Japanese were crazy for wearing masks, you know, in public years over the, you know, as long as we've been alive. Japanese wear masks when they have a virus and they go out into public. And now I'm like, I'm thinking I'm going to wear a mask forever just for the hell of it, because I really enjoy being able to have that part of my face concealed.
Yeah, but that's I mean, it was maybe just over a year ago now, the scare was starting to come. You know, people were aware of it. And I remember I was walking back through Cardiff Centre, and you did start seeing people wearing masks, and everyone was like looking at them like, what? Do you know what I mean? And it was all a bit like people were starting to keep their distance, but like people wearing masks was still weird. And, you know, people like, why are you doing that? And then, wow, look at us a year from now. Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now the social kind of acceptance has just radically changed. And
Anthony Fauci says we'll probably be wearing masks into 2022. And it makes sense, you know. That reminds me, I saw a story yesterday on Yahoo about an American Airlines flight to Phoenix, I think. Destination was Phoenix, Arizona. And they observed a missile-like object fly over the top of their aircraft. No wings or anything. They thought it resembled like a cruise missile, you know, but it wasn't detected on radar. And of course, you know, after they landed, they did like a a flight crew debrief of this incident. And obviously, you know, that's one of my interests, is this whole UFO thing. But something that came out of that article, which I thought was really interesting, that probably 99 out of 100 people don't know, but inside of the next stimulus package that they're trying to push through Congress right now, there is a rider in that bill that says that the intelligence community has to reveal to Congress everything it knows about UFOs. How interesting is that, that it was folded into this COVID relief package?
What congressman put that in?
I don't know who put that in.
Congresswoman?
Yeah, I don't know who put that in the bill. But
Can I give
Ellen
my
Bass,
two uneducated cents on this? I really do think that the two things are linked, and I'm not saying that like COVID is anything to do with UFOs or UFOs anything to do with COVID, but I do think that they're using this as an opportunity. Like, okay, well, look, we've got everyone hunkered down at the moment. Maybe now it's because, you know, we've been watching movies like Contagion, you know, about pandemics for so long. We've been watching UFO movies for so long. And it's kind of, there's been so many sightings, as Martin has said, that it's just kind of like everyone, like, you know, I showed my kids the Perseverance rover landing on Mars, the real video footage. My students, not, I don't have, you know, and they were just kind of like, huh. And I'm like, guys, that's like Mars. That's Mars. And they're kind of like, huh. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's like Mars. That's like a different atmosphere to ours, and they don't even care. And I think most people are like that.
Have you heard
I think
the
most people just
audio?
accept it.
Have you heard the
The
audio?
audio's very strange.
Yeah,
Very
so they've captured wind gusts picked up by the microphones on the Perseverance rover, and it's very subtle. It's very subtle. There's like 2 clips that they shared with the press, and it's just so cool, this idea, you know, that there's like wind on Mars. But you know, something I saw that was very interesting, not just with the Perseverance rover panorama that it captured, but I was looking at some videos from last year that I think science.com released. One thing that's really interesting is that both in the panorama photos of Perseverance and in these earlier panorama photos, which are maybe Curiosity or the
Curiosity rover.
Yeah, it could be that rover or maybe the other one, Endeavour, I guess, is very strange, right? I hate to say this, but it reminds me of the moon landing photographs, where everything that's in the foreground is this kind of like rocky, landscape that it sort of goes, it's a melange of gray and rust red, right? Like we expect. But every single background, in the background of all of these panorama shots, it's sand dunes. And there's no evidence that the topography is similar to what's in the foreground. And I'm like, how is that possible that in every panorama photo, it is rocky foreground with red and gray, and then the background, it just looks like sand mountains. And there's
I had a problem with
detail.
this as well. When they were landing with the video, and beforehand they had said that we're landing in this, what used to be a lake, because they could see the valley, and then the valley spread it out, and you could see, they said they think there's water there.
Yeah.
But as they were landing, the landing site, I'm looking at the landing site, maybe they changed it at the last minute, I don't know, but the landing site didn't look like, I'm looking for the valley, and I'm looking for the, you know, what used to be waterbed kind of, you know, thing. And I'm like, I can't see it. It just looks like they're landing generically anywhere. I'm looking for this huge valley and this huge thing that used to be a lake, and I didn't see it, you know? Well, and unfortunately, because the pictures they showed were satellite photos looking down,
Right.
And this was it. And as you're landing, you're kind of basically looking at a satellite photo, but it's real time going down. I'm like, well, where's the valley? Where's the thing? Maybe I didn't get it. I don't have that eye.
I think it's probably
It's pretty massive
perspective.
valley. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, it's
No,
perspective. So,
we have no idea what.
so what the camera is showing is not enough of what one of the satellites orbiting is showing, giving you a much
So it could have been huge.
greater perspective. Yeah, it's still pretty incredible though. If everything's on board and up and everything's honest about it, it's still pretty incredible. Like this technology that we have been launching for the last 45 years to Mars.
Yeah.
What about this UFO sighting? Like, was there anything more said of it from the United Airlines?
No, it was not a particularly interesting UFO sighting, but it must be said that whenever a pilot reports something like this, that's a big deal because first of all, they're experts. They have thousands of hours of flight time. They're familiar with all sorts of silhouettes that they can properly identify. And also because of the importance of their job and the exclusivity of their careers, they're not going to just say something. In fact, for many years, the policy was keep your damn trap shut if you want to keep your career. So whenever a pilot or a flight crew talks about something and it makes the press, that's a big deal because they're not going to stick their necks out and jeopardize their career unless they're awfully certain about what they've seen. And probably the most famous pilot who has stuck their neck out was a Japanese pilot who was flying a JAL flight, and he was passing by off the coast of Alaska many years ago. And he had a very compelling UFO sighting. But probably the most famous pilot sighting would be Kenneth Arnold, who observed, and this is a great historical story because Kenneth Arnold was the first pilot whose sighting was reported to the press in 1947. And this was before Roswell. And in fact, Kenneth Arnold is the reason why we call them flying saucers, for example. But the funny thing about it is that Kenneth Arnold, he was flying his single engine Cessna, I believe, and he was near Mount Rainier in Washington State in 1947. And he observed, I believe, 2 or 3 delta-shaped objects flying.
Yeah.
Right? So triangular shaped objects. But what he said was that their flight characteristics were the same as if someone had taken a saucer and skipped it across a lake. So the funny thing is that was interpreted erroneously that he had seen saucer-shaped craft, but in fact he had seen delta-shaped craft that had simply moved as though they were skipping saucers across the water. But then after he said that, we started seeing photographs and motion picture imagery of round objects. And so that's this crazy thing. Like, is this life imitating art or art imitating life? Because even Roswell, that crash is actually, the story is that 2 craft struck each other in midair and had a collision. And the wreckage was of one of those craft, and they were also delta-shaped, triangular-shaped craft. Most people think Roswell were round flying saucers, but they weren't.
It's quite interesting to see the evolution of spacecraft over time. You know, in the 1950s and 60s, it was these sort of campy B-movie type flying saucers into sort of like, you know, when we do the alien movies of the late 70s and early 80s, when they become sort of more sort of disc shaped, to now, you know, it's interesting really. I don't know, like I'm not really a sci-fi buff, but I do love a good alien movie.
I don't see how people are so quick to throw away people's claims as well, because it's like, why would you come out with that stuff? I mean, for example, like, you know, I mean, I've seen ghosts, you know, when I was a kid. Like, I'm still convinced that I've seen at least 3 ghosts growing up, you know?
Yeah, why are ghosts
And-
more sort of, I don't know, believable than aliens? It's weird.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
To me, it's
'cause
the
if-
opposite. To me, it's the
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
but
feel
no,
the same.
dude, I'm telling you right now that I saw a ghost.
My
when I was a kid.
sister, when we were in Taiwan, my sister said that she saw a little green man at the foot of her bed in the middle of the night, and he was trying to persuade or coax her out of bed, and he left the foot of her bed, little small man, green man, and he left the foot of her bed, and he walked to the balcony, and he jumped off the balcony. And the next day, it was Easter Sunday morning, and there was an egg hunt in the property gardens where we were. And she spent the entire time trying to find that little green man while I was busy trying to find eggs. And I didn't even know this story. She had told my mom and dad, and then later they had told me, I guess that afternoon or something. So she spent the entire time trying to find that little green man. And
But
so
think about it. Like, if you were an alien and you wanted to check out Earth, where would be the best place to go? Well, it would be the steppes of Asia where fuck all people live. You know, like if I go into a planet and I have absolutely no information, well, you know, no information on the sociology of the planet or the political geography of the planet, then I would go to like, it doesn't look like there's many urban areas here. I'm gonna land here because there's fuck all people here, right? So, you know, it's like, I don't know, maybe we're looking in the wrong places. I mean, you know, we've seen sort of evidence and you know, of unidentified flying objects, but that's only in the places that are congregated by, you know, people, right?
I think ghosts and aliens are both quite real. You know,
Well,
Why do you think ghosts are real then?
aliens more so than ghosts, but I'm still convinced that I saw one when I was younger. Like,
maybe
it's
you
stuck
could
with me
call
to this
them
day.
apparitions instead of ghosts, because the ghost thing seems a little ridiculous, but an apparition makes sense. Like,
But it was a she. Like, she was as real as you are right now. You know, she was an old woman, and the story behind it is we went to an old house with my grandfather, and he told me to stand in front of the fireplace in this really old, torn down house in the countryside, and he took a photograph. And in the photograph, you could see there was something, maybe some like smoke or something like that. 2 weeks later, we went back again, not because we thought anything was weird, but I remember she was standing in the doorway, as real as you are. She was just standing in the doorway, and then she looked away the other side. And I told my grandfather, he came in, and she was gone. And there is nothing there to make me think that it was like a hat stand or a coat stand or something. It was like, there's a wall, there's a person, now the person is gone.
What was the distance from you and her?
Literally between, say, here's a wine bottle. I'm probably about here. She's right here. And she's
do you think
staring
it
down
was a real
over me.
person, maybe?
No, because it was impossible. We're in the countryside. It was an abandoned house, and she was right there. And the look that she gave, it wasn't anything bad, it wasn't anything good, but it was kind of like it was like a "why are you here" look. She was like an old woman kind of looking at you, kind of like, "why are you here?" You know what I mean? That kind of a look.
Could be more. There's more probability that it was a real person.
Well, when I
and it was
lived
a
in,
ghost. So, I mean, like maybe I don't know, but I don't believe it. I don't believe in ghosts. So
I'm
much,
I'm open to suggestions, but I just remember it.
How old were you, Peter? You think?
I think I was about like 14, 15.
14 feet. Wow.
So above the age of influence.
Yeah,
right? Above
that's
the age
true.
of influence. When I
Yeah.
was
What
living
made you think it was a ghost though? Because like if I saw a woman, I'd be like, oh fuck. But then I would think, oh, there's a
But
woman.
she was
not a
here.
ghost.
It was like, why would you think you saw a wine bottle? And it was like, you see it, and then you're like, what the fuck? And then you open your eyes and it's gone. You know?
Okay, so
But it wasn't like it wasn't like blink and I imagined it. It was like I had my eyes open and I was kind of like looking at her and I was in shock. You know, and she didn't look like, because back in the day, Irish women, especially elderly Irish women back like in the early 1900s, they would wear like what the Muslim women wear now. They would wear a shawl over their heads. And she was like that. Like, and she just looked at me and I wasn't afraid or anything.
Scary.
Like,
Fuck, man.
yeah, I didn't want to dwell on it just
I
too
would
much. I
shit
wanted to
my
find a link between ghosts and aliens. Like maybe it's like
when my
something like
family lived in Parris Island, South Carolina, I was quite a young guy then, and my mom was convinced that our house was haunted, and we did distinctly on numerous occasions hear very pronounced footsteps above our heads on the second floor, walking down the hallway, exactly the same as if my dad was walking down the hallway or my mother was walking down the hallway. And that was always a really interesting thing. And a second thing that happened to me, which is not the same thing as a ghost, but when I was living in Virginia and I was a teenager, maybe 16 years old or so, one night I was awoken from my sleep because I could hear somebody talking. And I woke up and I made sure that I was awake. And I thought it was like my dad was in a conversation in the middle of the night. And I opened up my bedroom door and there was nobody in the hallway. And then I went and looked out my bedroom window down outside and there was nobody down there. And of course, if there had been somebody out there, it wouldn't have been as clear as it was in my own bedroom. So then I went over to my stereo speakers and I was putting my ear up to the stereo speakers and I was looking at my stereo like, is my stereo on even though it looks like it's off? What the hell is going on? And finally the voice said to me, he was trying to engage me in a conversation. And he was like, hey, are you going to talk to me? And I didn't say anything. And he's like, you don't want to talk? Okay, fine. And then he never said anything else. And that was it. And the whole time I'm like pinching myself, trying to like, I'm definitely 100% awake. And now years and years later, I was telling that story to my best friend, the other chimp that I run this channel with. And I told him this story. And in the moment that I was telling the story, it occurred to me that I recognized the voice now. The voice that I heard was my voice now. So that's like either a quantum, that's right. That's either a quantum thing, right? Or a ghost thing, or this is what I thought about. Maybe this is what happens to all people who later go insane. Like maybe a voice starts talking to you, and if you engage the voice, that like opens the Pandora's box for you to become like mentally insane. And I didn't have that conversation. So like maybe I was spared a lifetime of insanity. Really, it was.
Well, I've had spins similar to that in a near sleep state, where I'm trying to get to sleep and I'm nearly there, and then all of a sudden I hear Jake in many different voices sometimes, and I'm like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, what?
Sure, yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, but
100%.
I don't think ghosts, but I think, oh fuck, am I going crazy?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? But like, you just have.
I sent George the book that I'm writing at the moment, and in it is that like I speak to different versions of myself in a dream state, and like there are future versions of myself that haven't happened yet. Yeah, and they're trying to send me a message.
Exactly. That's what I was
Yeah.
telling my best friend. Maybe this was me in the future trying to talk to my earlier self to like navigate me in some way to avoid something that happens later on that the future self knows about. You know what I mean?
In Ireland, we have something similar. Just to go back to the ghost thing, the banshee, the old ghost woman. Maybe that was in my mind back when I was early teen. But she will warn you before she kills you. Meaning that, like, before you go to bed at night, if you hear an old woman wailing, crying, you need to wake up straight away and go to the next person in your house and say to them, do you hear that crying? If they say no, that means you're the only person who can hear it, and the banshee will come and kill you. She will
Christ,
It's
murder
like the
you.
Nancy Drew that I'm watching right now, the Nancy Drew
Really?
TV show. There's something called what is it called? A Galaica. It's like a sea spirit, a murderous feminine sea spirit that like murders everybody, that doesn't give her the proper tribute that she's supposed to.
They're
Like
called sirens, isn't they?
no, this isn't a siren. This
Oh.
Galaica is like a woman who had everything taken from her, and then I guess she was killed, and then
Always the woman scorned.
Similar
Yeah.
to the banshee. Yeah.
right.
Same kind of backstory.
You know, like ghosts, whether you believe it or believe in them or not, it's amazing how even the biggest skeptic, it can really capture your imagination. You know, you tell a good ghost story.
Maybe that's why we're so ready for aliens, man.
Some YouTube videos are quite compelling when you see stuff moving across the room, like
Did
on
you see the
security
Gettysburg
camera.
ghost? The ghost at Gettysburg?
No, but I've been to Gettysburg on numerous occasions, and I've heard stories about people observing soldiers, like Union and Confederate soldiers.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it gives me the chills right now thinking of it.
Animals,
when I saw
animals
that
are always the
footage,
first to know.
yeah, when I saw that footage of Gettysburg on YouTube, of course it could have been done in Photoshop.
Oh,
but when
I think I saw that video actually.
Yeah, he's just wandering through,
Yeah.
and he's like this lost soldier looking for his platoon.
But the thing
You
is
know?
that
Where is everybody? Oh,
the thing
dude.
is,
ugh.
every year these reenactors go out and they dress up in costumes and they reenact those days in Gettysburg. So it's
It
like
could be.
you'd have to see it yourself. You can't.
the
But
thing.
but isn't it so eerie? It just gives you a chill. Just
It's
the
all good
thought
story.
of a
Like,
soldier
I don't know.
100 years later wandering the battlefield looking for his best friend. You know, they've all gone to heaven, and here
He's
he is
looking for
stuck
his
on Earth.
head. What are you talking about? He's looking for his head.
Have you heard the story about the headless horseman?
Yeah, sure.
There's a church near my house where he lost his head, apparently. Not true. But there's actually an inscription that says, "Here lies the headless horseman." And the story is he was chasing after a nun with a sword, and she ran into the church, and he ran with the sword like this. And of course, the sword got stuck in the doorway and it took off his head, and that's how he lost it.
Yeah, so it was like God protecting the nun.
Yeah.
Was in the original story, he was what they called, like those German mercenaries who fought for Britain in the War of Independence.
In America.
Yeah, what were they called? Hirsch.
But the funny thing about this is this church.
Something like that, yeah. It was like they were German hunters.
Oh
no, they were called Jungenmeister or something, like Jaeger or something.
Jungenmeister. Well, I know that
I'd love a shot of Jägermeister.
I'll find out now.
I know that the headless horseman story that I'm most familiar with does involve it takes place in the US. It's like it's a colonial US story.
But that's what that was so interesting about this church, is because like the church is obviously it predates the War of Independence in the United States by 100 or 200 years or something. So they're kind of like they're trying to figure out.
Yeah, the Hessians.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out where this legend came from. So did it come from Ireland now? And now they're trying to link it to Halloween also. That like, okay, well, did this story come over with Halloween to America also?
Yeah.
I love how Pinar just like dumped the
baby on you. Yeah.
she's like, it's
the
your turn.
orange juice doesn't want to make itself.
She's like, I'm all out. She's like, I'm all out of love. It's your turn.
It's like, look at my baby.
Oh, what a cutie. How's he doing? Is he right?
Yeah, sexy dad chimp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Hey, dude. Hey, be careful there. You know, I don't know how many children I have.
No,
So, you know.
get a dog and a baby, then the women will be falling at your feet. Even though I look like crap at the moment. But
You know, with the power of this YouTube channel, Peter, you may find out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some like reunion French African child.
They're like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Less than a minute left.
If you want to find a real alien story, we're running out of time. I suggest go find like a Central Asian nomad, because I bet you they've seen some crazy shit in the sky.
I think that anybody who spends time looking up at the sky, which I spend a lot of time doing that now, and I didn't do it in my 20s or 30s that much, but I do it a lot now. The problem is you don't see them because you're not paying attention. And then the other reason you don't see them is because of the speed of travel, because of their ability to stealth themselves, right? To be stealthy, and just the fact that we're not usually looking up. But somewhere around the world, every 15 minutes, and this has been going on for the last 70 years, every 15 minutes, a notable UFO sighting is observed, is had, and that's consistent with. If you look at NASA video of satellites that orbit the Earth, you see a lot of activity all the time that's anomalous, that can't be explained as something like ice or whatever. So,
Martin, she's waking up. She's waking up.
Oh, well, that's good. So it's just in time for you to readdress that. Yeah.
You okay?
That's great. Especially since we've got an infant in the video as well. So it's like a combination of innocence and corruption. Just diagonal.
Yeah, but she'll never be pregnant after tonight.
All right. So yeah, that'll wrap it up, everybody. Thanks for coming out and circling back to the